Hello, guys, and welcome to the channel. Hoping that you are all doing good. Hoping that you are great. I'm right, Bafetu. We're just going to be talking about something very sensitive, if I can say. We're talking about Patrick Maswanganyi. We're talking about Zwane. We're talking about what Coach Hugo Bruce said. There's also, I think it is a response, to be honest, to what Coach Hugo Bruce has said. Coach Rulani Mokwena is also saying something with regard to can Patrick Maswanganyi replace Zwane? And that's where I think we need to fix how we speak, especially when we speak to the media, guys. I don't think it's the right term to use when we talk about replace. So Coach Hugo Bruce explained, right, Uguti, why did I select Maswanganyi? He did well against, was it Cape Town Spurs? He did well, amazingly, against Kaizer Chiefs. And he says, this is what I want to see from him in Bafana. If he can achieve that level with us, he can be someone for the future and someone who can replace Zwane. He says, Guti, I'm not thinking of replacing Zwane for now, but we have to plan for it because he will be around 36 or 37 in 2026. Let us hope Guti Maswanganyi is the one, and we have solved that problem for the future. You understand that? So he's talking about Zwane to say that Zwane una 34 manje. And I think if I checked, I think it was in August, he's gonna turn 35. Next year is 36. 2026 is 37. You have to play AFCON, he's 37, 38. I mean World Cup, sorry. He's 37, 38. Can we really go with Zwane there? Let us be honest. Let us have an honest conversation, about it. I've seen even at Sundowns now, they've signed players and sometimes they remove Zwane. He's not a player that plays the full game. Sometimes he even starts on the bench, right? Because obviously you must start to manage the player now. We need to be honest with ourselves. So is this a player that we can say we're going with him in the World Cup? Definitely, but we cannot rely on him alone, guys. Even with AFCON, if there's anything that I saw is the fact that we cannot rely on Zwane alone. There were times where he was just not effective. There were times where he would need to be removed, or he was removed. He was good, don't get me wrong, but he can't play the full game. He's removed, and then who else did we put in his place? There was no one. Our squad was not that balanced, in my opinion. Yeah, but so Coach Hugo Bruce is talking along those lines to say maybe if Maswanganyi can continue like this, maybe he's the player that can play in that position for the future, But Coach Rulani Mokwena has responded to this, and he says, Uti, there is no one that can be able to replace Zwane now or for the next 10 to 15 years. This is what the Mamelodi Sundowns coach is saying. He says, Guti, we can't replace him. Nobody can replace Temba. He's one of the greats of South African football, who happens to be my family, He says, he says one of the greats of South African football who happens to be a family member. He's referring to Jomosono. He says, Guti, Jomosono always says to me that your biggest mistake as a coach is putting Zwane on the bench. Every time Sundowns doesn't play well, I always get that message from him, and he always tells me that you cannot replace Zwane because he is a generational talent and a good person. You saw when we took him off in the last game, he does not whine. You get that thing sometimes from players who are in a certain level. But Zwane comes off the field running. He does not drag his feet. And that for me is already an indication of how great he is. Even Zwane, undermines his greatness. He does not really know how good he is. And with these type of players, it will be another 10 or 15 years until we have a player like that. And maybe even surpass his level. So I'm not going to even try to replace him because it is impossible, So this is the response. And when I check the comments, people are talking about the fact that, obvious. Guys, we don't need to argue. Zwane is the great, is amazing. He's one of the best, undoubtedly so. He's a very good player. But we need to also be realistic. There are gonna be players that can even surpass him or below him. Right now, currently, there's no player. The way I've been checking, there's no player. But if Coach Hugo Bruce is seeing potential in Maswanganyi, I don't think it's a good thing to use the term replace or want to make them compete. I heard Dawana on the group also saying, "Uti, if that's how we're going about it, then even when we're at the national team, it's not gonna be look good. Some of the players now, it's gonna cause a division within the team. Maybe some of the players will now start to not like him. They're not even gonna pass him the ball. How is that? So I think, guys, mistake is we talk about replacing a player. We can't. I don't think we need to talk about replacing a player per se. These are not products. These are not objects. This is not just a stock that you go and buy in the shop and then Pick and Pay just goes and restock. We're talking about human beings who are unique in their own ways and they have their own differences. So Zwane is very unique, and there's no player that can play the way that he plays. Maswanganyi plays the way that he plays. He doesn't play the way that Zwane plays. So I don't think we really need to be talking about really replacing the players. Yeah, but let's just be realistic about the situation and say Zwane has been amazing for South African football, consistent, and it's been questionable for me why even now we're talking about replacing him in the national team. But how long has he even been playing in the national team? Because they've been snubbing him for absolutely, I don't know why, because he's a player that deserved to play for the national team for even before coming until now. But yeah, our national team is not that consistent. Sometimes they take you and then you spend 2 years and then they take you again. So let's not really talk about replacing a player, guys. Let's not really talk about that. I don't think there's a player that can ever be replaced. These are human beings, like I said, with their own individually brilliant own talents and the way of playing. There's something that Zwane cannot be good at, but Patrick can be good at, or another player can be good at. Or Patrick is not good at that and Zwane is good. Or, we can't really be the same. So how do you really replace someone? So that's just about it. Let me just check some of the comments and see what some of you guys Ufana Uti, I agree with you. The term used is wrong. You can't replace another player. Everyone plays according to his strengths and talent, and they can't be the same, rather similar. And Tito was supposed to start at AFCON, but yeah, they didn't select. Yes, he was supposed to be there. I do believe that he did deserve to also go to AFCON, but yeah, the coach decided, guys, he was not ready, and like I'm saying, Mina, Zwane was good. He was not bad, but you could see he could not really play the whole game. We needed someone else that can be able to go in, or if it happens Zwane gets injured or suspended or something, who else did we have to fill in those shoes or to try and get close there? At the moment, no one. Tito has been amazing, and this season, wow, amazing. I think he's one of the player. He's the most with the man of the match accolades. He's been great, Like I said, I put him in that list, Mina, of nomination for player of the season. He's there in the conversation. Zwane, guys, I don't even have to say much. Umsebenzi wakhe sonke siyawubona, sonke siyawazi. He's great, guys. He's amazing. He's the best currently. If we look at consistency, ever since, and he has served our football, and he's still doing so. But we can't now depend on that right now, especially for the national team. Like I even talked about Sundowns. Even Sundowns, manje, they start to manage the player because he's not a player that plays the full game. We need to be honest. So who else? Sundowns can remove Zwane and put maybe a Lodge or I don't know, Mendieta or someone else. They do have those players, but in the national team, who are we using there? That is the other question. Yeah, so let's not compare the players. Let's not also cause division between the players. Let's stop using this word replace. I man. So I would love to hear from you. What do you think about Coach Hugo Bruce? Do you think he's right? What he's saying about Patrick Maswanganyi? And what do you think about Coach Rulani Mokwena also? Do you think he's right when he says no one can replace Zwane? At least you must wait 10 years of 10 to 15 years for that to happen.